First up, is Twitter an extension of your social circle or an extension of your job? Apparently both, according to at least 2 media outlets that took action after recent tweets by employees. While Sirius Radio is known for its no-holds-barred offerings, including the witty and profane Howard Stern, it seems the satellite radio company does have its limits. After Anthony Camilla, half of the popular The Opie and Anthony Show, went on a racist, sexist, and vulgar tirade, so vile we can't show it, the network promptly dropped Camilla like the proverbial hot potato. Over at NPR, a tweet and the network response was far more nuanced. NPR education blogger Anya Kamenetz used an official network Twitter account to say that she reaches out to diverse sources, but that only white guys get back to me. Faster than you can say incoming, Kamenetz apologized and said she should have put it out on her personal account. But NPR Standards and Practices editor Mark Memmott says even that is unacceptable, writing, "If you wouldn't say it on the air, don't say it on the web." All right, so should tweets be held to the same standard as on-air comments? Joining me to hash it out are John Keller of WBZ, Callie Crossley of WGBH News, and Dan Kennedy of Northeastern University. Well, as the cliches go, that cat is out of the bag. There's no way you can separate your personal accounts from your professional accounts. I mean, don't we all have them intermingled as it is now on our iPhones and all of our devices? Half the time you don't even know which one you're emailing from. I think Mark Memmott makes absolute sense when he says you can't say something on the air or in a tweet that you wouldn't say on the air. I don't know. Maybe she should have said that on the air. Maybe it wouldn't have gotten that kind of reaction if she'd put it in a better context. But there's just no way.
Well, that particular tweet was going to get her in trouble no matter what forum she chose to say it, tweet it, type it, or whatever. True. And, I don't think that you can hold the two to the same standards. But on the other hand, you have to approach this with a little bit of intelligence. And I think the scary thing is that those of us who are on Twitter a lot do sometimes feel like, we're just 2 or 3 ill-considered tweets away from losing our jobs. Yeah. And you do have to be careful. You have to use some common sense. I do think that for a journalist, Twitter can be a place for kind of probing around a subject and discussing issues that you aren't quite ready to put into a story yet. Mm-hmm. So I do think that the standards are a little bit different. But nevertheless, you need to be tweeting as a journalist, and she clearly wasn't.
There's a lot going on here. First of all, which one? Opie, Anthony, whichever one got fired. I mean,
Anthony.
That was just unreal.
Hopefully Opie to follow.
Yeah. I mean, there's really nothing to be said there, and nor is he a journalist. So,
no.
We have a situation there where that's just an extreme example of what possibly could happen.
One of the interesting reasons why they took him out, he isn't a journalist, and they get away with a lot of stuff. So, wow, he really crossed the line.
Yeah, absolutely. So having said that, now let's go to Anna Kamenetz, and there's a couple of things I want to say. I think the NPR ruling is a little tough in this way. I get that you have to, whatever you wouldn't say on the air, blah, blah, blah. I got all of that. But sometimes when you retweet, you're not retweeting, I think this is great. Isn't this interesting? Maybe now you have to say that more definitively, to say, here's a couple of other perspectives on the same thing. And I just wonder if you lose that. I mean, I know people have played.
Clarify that one of the things that Mark Memmott said is if you retweet something, you're endorsing it.
Exactly.
So you're saying.
So I'm saying that's what gives me a little pause, because I would hope that somebody who is immersed in covering something, and again, be clear, I'm working on the journalism. Here are several perspectives on this story. I'm not endorsing them. Maybe that's not enough for him, but I would like to see some informed sources do that. So that makes me a little bit, I feel bad. I get the cat out of the bag with, the mixture of the personal and the professional, but, when you take responsibility, as she did, that I think has to be paid attention to as well. Now, on another level with Anna Kamenetz, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Anya, the bottom line was she was saying that she couldn't find any sources of color. So I just got to say this. The woman has written for the New York Times, the Washington Post, the New York Magazine, Slate, and the Oprah Magazine. Any one of those stories she did, she had to start at the beginning and find some sources. Why is it that people who obviously otherwise have good sources, when it comes to people of color, oh no, I don't know, I can't find them, I don't know where they are, I only know one. What is the problem? I mean, this is your job. I don't get that. So I'm just, there are two issues going on here, and I want to address both of them. And I'm just insulted by her lack of resources in this instance, given her credentials and given where she is. And by the way, she has some colleagues she could turn to and maybe have a conversation about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, it's interesting that both these episodes, Anthony's untimely demise, or timely, depending on how you look at it, and this situation here, both involve race.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, race is among a number of topics these days that one ought not fool around with. Okay, it's to be taken seriously at all times. And I think a broader issue this raises is the question of editing, the art of editing, whether being edited by someone else or self-editing. Good journalists practice that art. I would assume, given Anna's list of credits here, that she's been edited, that she's had some experience with self-editing. Whatever, that experience failed her in this case, and it appears to fail a lot of people in this new media landscape. I'm wondering if the art itself is dying out. And, you know, I don't want to start talking about what are journalism schools teaching these days, harumph harumph. But a lot of these people aren't going through journalism school. I certainly didn't. But if you don't learn early on the value of self-editing or a good edit, you're behind the eight ball.
Number one note to a journalist: don't make a phone call or a tweet after midnight. It was 2:40 in the morning when
oh boy, wonder if alcohol was a factor.
I just wonder.
Wow.
Yeah, and by the way, he was not playing with race.
Right.
He was
No,
kind of exposed.
Yes.
He pulled off the skin and exposed the bug inside.
Right.
It was worse towards women, if you ask me.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was
well,
horrendous.
if it's
Vulgar in
possible.
both levels.
Yeah.